You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 118 with Zulu. Zulu, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a beautiful day out. There's not a cloud in the sky right now. I'm feeling good. So this is definitely
a couple clouds here.
Yeah. So where are you? Are you in Texas?
I'm in Austin. Yeah,
okay.
Austin, Texas.
Austin. Have you ran into Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman?
I haven't, but on my airplane to go to TwitchCon last year, what's his name? Something Willink, Jocko.
Oh
Willink
yeah.
He was on my flight.
Oh shit! Is the dude?
Yeah.
That dude's massive.
He is, and he was up in first class. So I walked past him to get to my seat.
That's crazy. Did you say like anything? Did you see other people saying anything like crowd?
I didn't say anything, but this guy who sat next to me on my flight, he actually is like a fitness coach. His name's Shane. We got to know each other like on Instagram and stuff. But he, I told him, I was like, "Do you know Jocko's on this flight?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of that guy." And he went up and said something to him as we were deboarding.
That's so cool. Yeah, that guy he's like one of those like motivators.
Yeah, he's one of those motivational, I guess, speakers or whatever, or like, but he has like a motivational podcast. But he also he's like very real because he actually was a Navy SEAL and he actually was this like hardened military guy.
Yep. Yeah. That's so cool though. But like Austin, Texas, that seems like everybody's there. It feels like that's like the hub of podcasting and just
a lot of comedy here too.
Yeah, comedy as well. That's true. Yeah. Do you ever go to any shows?
I want to go to one called Kill Tony. It's a huge podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Tony Hinchcliffe. It's a comedy show live here in Austin. It originally was in California, and they're coming up on almost 10 years of being around. And the premise is that like people sign up. Usually, it's like 100 to 200 people sign up and put their name in a hat. And he has a guest on, lots of famous comedians and people over the world. He's had Joe Rogan on before, and I think his show's at Joe Rogan's Comedy Club now. When it just opened recently. But basically pulls the name out of the hat. They have 60 seconds to do stand-up in front of a live audience. And then he'll do an interview portion where he either like roasts them or gives them praise or tips. Really good.
Dang.
But I want to go to that, but I haven't gone yet.
Yeah. So how long have you been in Austin for? Did you grow up there?
No, I moved here about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Me, Lake, and Kemq moved into a place together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that was 4 years ago.
In a month, yeah. In a month, it'll be 4 years.
That is crazy. Okay, so wait. So where are you originally from, you said?
Florida.
Okay. And that's when you started streaming and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's insane how, like, quickly time flies by. I still remember I was just talking to Jace earlier this week, talking about, like, you and Rigondow and Jace all kind of came around streaming at the same time, and that literally feels like yesterday.
Yeah, it was like a small 3-month period where each of us had started streaming, and I think it was 2016.
Yeah,
which is 7 years ago.
That's crazy. And you probably felt, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably felt like you were a latecomer to the stream game, huh? At the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I weirdly still feel like that today, but then I look at people who started a couple years ago or a year ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, they don't even remember when there wasn't such a thing as being an affiliate. They don't remember when there wasn't a Twitch Prime, when there wasn't bits.
Yeah. No, I literally talk to creators all the time, and I'm like, it always feels like you're the latest comer. Like you've missed your opportunity, to be a content creator. And it's like, it's literally never too late. Like the earlier you get on it, the better, obviously, but like it's never too late.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's a weird thing. I know Kemq is very polarizing to people. People either love him or hate him. But he said one thing to me one time. He was like, I think it was about my YouTube maybe, and he was like, if you, because I'd been like kind of on a hiatus from it. And he was like, if you had been started being active a year ago, where would it be today? I was like, damn, that's a good perspective to have. Because like if you're ever thinking about starting something, even if it's not content creation, if it's like working out or if it's you know, learning about a new field you're interested in, if you started a year ago, where would you be at today?
Yeah. No, that's an amazing perspective to have. Like that's what you should. Yeah, that is like that is what your perspective should be. Honestly, if you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so how was that starting out streaming, and what was the reason for it?
So I started playing Old School the second day it came out. Not the first day because I couldn't figure out how to make it work on my shitty MacBook Pro at the time.
I bet you were raging. Just log me.
It was annoying because all my Call of Duty friends had like been playing and I was just like not able to get on. I was like, I can't get it to work. This is when there wasn't a client, so you played in the browser. When Old School first came out, there wasn't a client, I don't think.
Really?
You're
still playing on the Java client? Really?
Or you know what? Maybe it had opened a browser tab and then popped out a client, something like that. But on the browser page, it wouldn't load. And so I started playing on the second day of Old School, and I fell in love again with RuneScape. You know, I played it as a kid, in like middle school, and then stopped because I got more interested in Call of Duty and music. But then I guess I had maxed in 2014, and then sometime in like late 2015, I'd finally upgraded from a Mac to a actual desktop like computer, and like within a month I'd started streaming. And I only did a couple of streams at the end of 2015. I really started in 2016. I remember I think my first real stream on my own channel was the Oblivion and Prop Swap Christmas giveaway. Very long time ago. We did a Christmas like drop party or something, and I streamed that. And then I started streaming like actively when Zaya came out, and when I was going for 200 mil prayer and construction, and when I started transitioning from going from 200 mils to going for pets.
Okay. So you weren't going for 200 mil all when you first started actively streaming, is that correct?
I think I mean I kind of at the time it was like I wanted to do everything in the game. So it was like 200 mils. I wanted to get 200 mils, and then I also wanted to get, you know, all the pets. At the time, there wasn't collection log, so it was really just like, and I think there was only like 20 or 30 pets in the game at the time. But I wanted to do both.
Okay, but you were originally trying to get 200 mil all exclusively before that. Is that correct?
Yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot to do in the game.
So what changed your perspective on that, and what made you want to be more of like a completionist type player?
I think the updates, honestly, a mixture of the updates and I you know, I can't lie and say that like content creation doesn't play a factor in that.
Yeah.
You know, streaming going for 200 mils is not as exciting as, you know, PVMing or pet hunting or collection logging. For me or for the audience. And also, I guess at a certain point I'd got more busy in my personal life, and I was like, you know, I can go for 200 mils and spend thousands of hours, or I could spend the same time or less time creating content I like, enjoying the game just as much, if not more. And that kind of shifted it.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think
okay.
to this day, I'm probably right now, if I had to guess, I'm around like the 50% mark to 200 mil all in terms of hours.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Maybe. But you got to remember like the time I have in the game, the playtime, because everything, a lot of skills got quicker. So now 200 mil all would be way quicker.
That makes sense.
But I think I think the most EHP I had at any given time was around maybe 11,000 or 12,000. But that was when 200 mil all was like 32,000 hours or whatever it was. You know,
so technically you're literally like you've lost EHP, but you're closer. Like you're closer in hours.
I have less hours.
Yeah, interesting.
Exactly. I've saved time, but I'm less of the way there.
Yeah. So there is. So what? 200 mil all is like what? 13,000 hours still.
I have no idea. I think it's between 13 and 16, somewhere in that range.
Okay. And you're probably at like what, 6 or 7K, I'm assuming then?
If I had to guess, yeah.
That's so nuts to think about, because where like a normal player sees you at, 3.3 bill XP.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, like you're just really close. It just seems like that to the average player that's not looking at all the EHP sheets and stuff. Because I remember seeing people, I mean, Randalicious was the first old school stream I ever saw. And I just remember, like, obviously back then he was just pushing 2 bill XP, but it already felt like he was halfway, because it's like, oh, 2 bill, 4.6, like, what's the difference? But that was like my noob mindset. And then just to realize, no, he is so far away.
I would love to reminisce about those old days, man. It was such a strange time in RuneScape, because I remember there was a time when the only way to trade people was Sae Bae. So there wasn't a trading post, there wasn't a grand exchange, there wasn't any of that. And there wasn't enough players at one point. This was like, I think just before God Wars. There was like less than 10K active people online at any given time. And who knows how many of those were bots. People were worried about how they're going to get the supplies to get 200 mils or to get 99s. Like getting bones for prayer. People didn't know how they were going to do it, because there just wasn't enough supply coming in unless you went and basically Iron Manned it yourself before Iron Man was a thing.
Holy crap. Okay, so was Sae Bae pretty much a thing on day of release, sort of? Like, is that how everyone sort of traded?
Yeah.
And then
it was day of release, it was already a thing, because Sae Bae has been around for, 2 decades or something.
Yeah. And then, so I started playing mid 2015, so I wasn't there for the trading post release and then for the Grand Exchange. How was the trading post? Did that fix anything?
It was fucking horrible. You could post anything you wanted at any price, because it wasn't a system where they have to accept it. They'd see your offer and they could message you, but then you'd have to still message in game the same way you would on like with Sae Bae, where it's like PM me in game.
Okay.
My world, your location.
So it was literally just worse than Sae Bae. It was like, okay.
Yeah, and people were also putting up fake offers. Like people would put like selling a blowpipe or buying a blowpipe 50 mil or something, right? And when blowpipe was like 6 or 7 mil, and you'd be like, oh my god, I want to message this guy. You add him, he's not online. He doesn't go online forever. It's just to like inflate prices.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
I think the trading post, I could, don't quote me on this, I think it lasted for 2 weeks or a month. I don't think it lasted very long.
Yeah, it was very, very brief, and then they were trying to pull the Grand Exchange, and that came out. At least when I go back into the history of these updates, I remember.
So you started playing when free-to-play and GE were already a thing, then.
Yeah. I was talking to Jace just earlier this week, and he said that he was rank 1 from like April to August of 2015, and I started playing very beginning of September 2015, so...
Yeah, Jace was rank 1 for a very long time until Lynx Titan decided to max.
Yeah. Oh my
I can't remember what he had. I think it was 98 construction or rune crafting he had. Or, no, it wasn't rune crafting. He was 100 and something mil rune crafting. Lynx Titan was an alt. Did you know that?
Didn't he also have an alt that was, I believe, like he had his Lynx account, but then he had another old school account that was like
Skillers L.
That was it, yeah. And that was the one that had like 100 some mil RCXP, I believe.
No, it was Lynx Titan. Lynx Titan was an alt for Forsberg 888.
Well, RSP. I know that, but didn't he have another old school?
Oh, alt? Yeah. No, you're right. Skillers L has 110 mil rune crafting. You're right. He used that account for shop and for rune crafting, and then for running himself essence for lavas.
Did he? Okay, so who discovered the shop method? This is the Karumja shop where you could just.
Okay, again, don't quote me on this.
Okay.
I think it was Silly Apple and Dreary.
That sounded
Silly
so
Apple,
busted.
Silly Apple was known as Sick Apple as well at one point. He was one of the first people to max, but he also was one of the few that got banned in that first like 25 or so. Like if you go on CML, it's like, I don't know if Temple has it, but if you go on CML, it says that I was like 9th or 10th to max, but really I was 14th. It's just that 4 or 5 of those people have been banned.
Holy, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but those two, Dreary was like a... Do you know who Dreary is?
I think I've heard the name, but no.
He was kind of a old legend in the like skilling community. I think he was in Hexus at one point, but he always hung out in the Slay Stars TeamSpeak. Played played like 16 to 18 hours a day every single day. He played like as consistently and probably more efficiently than Link's Titan.
Jesus.
But I think he got bored quickly of the game after maxing. If he even maxed, I don't remember. I think he's going for 200 mils actually. I don't know. But then he started playing RS3, and nowadays I have no idea if he plays or where he is. But I'm pretty sure he is like one of the 2 or 3 people that discovered Shop and started doing it. And the first like 5 or so people was them two, Vinny, Scott Wilson or Dead Wilson, and then a couple of Hexus people.
Wasn't it like 12 mil an hour, which at the time was just obscene?
Yeah.
And like completely just easy to do, basically. Well, you had to have the supplies though. Was it hard to get like the stuff to sell?
Not really, because there was lots of bots that sold things. So I'm trying to remember again. My memory is a little fuzzy. If Shop was before GE, I think it was. Okay. And you'd buy stuff from these people that ran like bot farms for battle staves, and then you would also try to buy rune items from people that are making 3-item rune items. Because you could overpay. And then I remember the Shop was still a thing when GE came out, because you could overpay like 42k or something. These numbers are made up, and sell it for like 48k on the Shop.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Or something like that. My numbers are probably way off, but that's something like that.
Did Jagex know about it? Like, did they want to fix it?
They found out about Shop not at the start. The first like 3 to 6 months, I think only people in Hexus and Slay Stars and maybe a couple of other smaller clans knew about it. I remember Oscar did a lot of it. Oscar and Link's Titan did a ton of it. But there was methods that was like 12 mil an hour. Not many people knew that. Most people knew like the 2 to 3 mil an hour methods. The 12 mil an hour was, I think it was like selling 2 per world of big items. And then the 2 to 3 mil an hour was selling, I think, 5 per world of like smaller items like battle staves and black dead bodies and like jewelry.
That's so interesting. I remember playing in 2015 and then just scanning YouTube. I mean, like I would literally just live on YouTube watching like guides. I mean, I remember watching your guides. I remember that's literally how I learned Abyssal Sire was from your guide.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it was great. That's exactly what I needed at the time. You probably think that now, but it's like
at the time, Sire I think was 14 kills an hour. And it was horrible. Yeah, Sire made me almost quit RuneScape. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? Why is that?
It was the most depressing boss I'd ever done with the methods back then. I think it was when you could. I think it was when there wasn't 100% accuracy on the leap, and then Hosta was best with like a Artie cloak. It was horrible.
So I talked about this in the Cold One Whale cast, talking about how you were, we just talked right before recording that you were 7th, right, to the Infernal Cape?
Yeah. If I can remember the right order, I think it was Wooks, Kelvino, was Letulainen 3rd? It was either Letulainen or CPL Eric, I think.
Okay.
I think those were 3 and 4, and then it was Bodhi was 5th, Dead Wilson, and then me.
Okay. Damn, what an iconic list. Like those are some goats right there, you know? Like
then me.
Who was 8th, 9th, and 10th? Do you remember?
Oh man. I want to say Bellis was 8th, but I could be wrong about that.
Oh yeah. He
was either 8th or 12th. He was 8th or 12th.
And he's a PKer. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was when he was like kind of transitioning between PVMing and PKing, because back then he was like more of a PVMer, but he was really in love with Deadman mode. And then I think around that time, 2017, he had switched to like mostly PKing. But he used to like PK in a cow suit and like meme. But yeah, he's gotten really good over the years.
So Inferno release, that was like literally one of the most iconic days on Twitch. I mean, multiple days it felt like, you know, just I mean, I had 4 different streams open. I always had like yours or Be the Victim or Bodie's or Wook's. It was just like hopping between them basically. And I was in school and I was a complete noob at the time too. I remember just looking at the Inferno. I'm like, I'm never going to even step in there. Like, this is just impossible.
Even Foe made it to triples on like the first like few hours, I think.
That is so freaking
first day, maybe. I can't remember. It was around the time of the Q&A. I think he had made it to triples,
dude. And then
there's an iconic clip. Oh, sorry.
No. I mean, I'm really excited to talk about this stuff. I'm just always
okay.
crazy.
There's an iconic before you say that. There's an iconic clip floating around out there of Foe during the Inferno release day wearing his AQPW shirt, and as they were showing off the different people doing Inferno on Twitch, he had gone and just put his AQPW, like he went full screen and showed that like the AQPW shirt on their stream. They quickly switched off of it, but it's an iconic clip out there. I don't know if it's still around.
Oh my god. Yeah, you know what's nuts about Foe getting to triples day one is that he literally didn't get an Inferno cape for like 4 years afterward.
Yeah, he had just stopped. I think he got to triples. I can't remember. He was in like the top few people to like the furthest waves. Because they had shown a list of like who had got to the furthest wave.
That's just so crazy. Like, was it just intimidation? Like, I've literally had Foe on the cast, and I don't know if we even really talked about this, but I mean, I know. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember what it was, honestly. I think he didn't have a T-bow or anything. I think his Iron Man was kind of a... I could be completely wrong about this, but I think his Iron Man was kind of a noob at the point. It was maybe like 120 combat. I think he had like Arma and ACB, but I think he was rocking Arams. I don't think he was rocking a T-bow.
Yeah.
Like I could be wrong about that though, but I'm pretty sure he had been like the top few people to get to the furthest waves.
That is crazy.
During that time, yeah.
So what was the feeling like for you getting the Infernal cape? And was it on stream?
It was yeah, it was on stream. So what had happened was that first day, kind of like you, I've been so caught up in hopping between stream to stream to stream that I did stream the first like maybe 4 or 5 hours of Inferno on release, and at that time it was like 5 a.m. for me is when I started my day because Inferno release.
Yeah.
So I'd ended my stream and I've been like, okay, I'm gonna do a couple of runs off stream, guys. If I make it to late waves, I'll start a stream up. But I want to watch some of these streams too. And I'd watch like Be the Victim, like you were saying, dude. He gained 16K followers in 3 days or something, which is insane.
Shit. That's literally more followers than I have right now. Like, what the fuck?
He blew up so quickly, and then he like was busy getting his master's degree, I think. So that's why he couldn't stay consistent.
Holy crap!
But
okay.
yeah. So I was hopping between stream to stream to stream. Like 20,000 to 30,000 people all hopping to the whoever's at the furthest wave. So I was just kind of doing very, very, very slow runs where I would sit behind a pillar, watch a stream a bit, do a wave, repeat. And then on day 5, it was June 5th. The 5th day, I had made it to a late wave. I decided, I'll start up my stream, even though I'm getting depressed from dying at like wave, 64 or whatever, 63 or whatever. So often I start my stream up, I get the cape, and it was a great moment on stream. There's a clip out there somewhere. There's a quote. I think I had something like, "My cape, not your cape, chat. This is my cape. I did this." I was so happy at the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the feeling of, I mean, everyone that's gotten a cape knows that feeling. And it must have just been so much crazier back then.
Yeah, there was no guides or anything. It was like you learn from watching people on stream as well as like your own ideas, and you just go.
And then you literally get to walk around the game flexing that shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I still remember just Wooks having his and walking around the Grand Exchange with the Inferno. I'm just like, whoa, that thing looks so sexy.
I remember that too. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like it was yesterday, like the way I can remember it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was really a glorious time. I talk about the Inferno release a lot with my guests because it just seemed like such an iconic time for the game's history, and I don't know. I just really would like to see something like that come back into the game, like Inferno 2,
You know what's funny? God, I'm gonna sound like such a pedantic flex like loser when I say this, but the rare Wooks emote?
Yeah.
It was it became an emote because of me. My friend Con Number One, you may know him.
Yep.
He's made tons of emotes out there for people. He we had like seen that clip, and I was like, dude, this should be a GIF, and we should call it Overload, because the Rare Wooks kind of looks like you're overloading in real life. And then I'm so happy he went with Rare Wooks instead, because it's way better now thinking about it. But that was almost called Overload.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is an iconic emote. I mean, that's like on.
Yeah.
I would say VV Cool is just unstoppable. Like that one's definitely
on
the
that
most
same
iconic.
level.
But yeah,
yeah,
probably right below that one, I'd say.
It was almost called Overload. And I don't remember if it came from that when he got the cape or if when he got the T-bow.
I can't remember either.
I think it was the T-bow.
I want to say it was actually Infernal Cape, because I was actually saying, wasn't that the T-bow? But then the more I think about it, I think that was actually the Infernal Cape.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
both had come out in 2017, so it's hard to remember that.
I think it was Infernal Cape, because this is, again, I could be completely wrong, but I think it was like he wasn't sure
if he finished it.
Yeah, if it was done yet, you know, if there was another part. And then as soon as he saw it, he'd like freaked out like that.
Yeah. There's a clip for both of them where he jumps up. When he gets the T-bow, he also jumped up, but I don't know.
That he's not phased by anything, and then you see him react like that, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, we love Wooks.
Yeah. Oh my god. Those are some good days.
Yeah, those early days were crazy, man. There's so many funny times, like classics. If you know him, he died. I think it was either wave 7 or wave 15 to the triple blobs, like the mini blobs.
Yeah,
a really funny clip out there of that. Be the Victim had made it. I think he was the first to make it to healers, but then he had to do his CPA exam, and so he couldn't play for a couple weeks. But he should have been one of the first few to get it if he just had the time IRL.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, we look back then, and I mean, you had so much PVM experience prior to that, but it wasn't PVM experience like we know today with all the new raids and everything like that. It was literally like God Wars and DKs and Chambers, I guess, had just come out, but like, you know,
Slayer bosses and God Wars.
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, that's just crazy to think. Yeah, that must have given you a lot of confidence, I think, getting an Infernal Cape. Then it just seems like anything else that comes out, it's like, okay, you're good. Like you'll be fine.
It was at that point, I had already been at a point where people kind of didn't really look at me as like a top tier PVMer. I think I had been memed so hard from the release of raids, release of Chambers, where I had like died a bunch during our like runs with Bodhi and Wooks and Jumanji and Livy or Thanks and like all the really good PVMers at the time, and I had been dying a bunch, and so I had been memed a lot, so it was like felt really good to get that cape that early to kind of like not necessarily prove myself, but to just kind of like show to myself that like, hey, I can learn something quick and I can pick this up quickly, and I'm not bad.
Yeah, and not give up either, because that Inferno is like the one place that people give up.
Yeah,
on. It's just horrible. It's just knowing you have to go back in at wave 1. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. How was Chambers released, by the way? Because that's a very foggy memory for me. I was very newbie at the time, and I went in on day 1. We were hard locked at Tecton because we were in like an 80-man noob team. And
dude, it was so fun. I remember, so I'm going to forget some names, and I feel really bad if I do, but like Starfish, Hugo, Merrick, Charles, the people I've already named, we were all running Chambers together, and every time, because we were running with Bodhi, every time that we would be like, hey, do you think this item would be like decent here? That item at the GE would like triple in price. The Staff of the Dead, I think, went from like 12 mil to like 30 mil in an hour. And then we were like, oh, this is kind of like not that great. But at Ice Demon, that was when we were thinking, oh man, fire spells. But nowadays, like if you're going for at least the CM record, you do use that. You do use
well, they changed it.
You use a harm orb. Yeah. And then I also remember like I went half price. I think a bulwark was like 150 mil or something. me and Charles went like 50-50 on buying a bulwark because it wasn't a thing in the game. You know, it just come out. So that we could tank Tecton. It was a really weird time. We were like, you know what? I'll tank Tecton. You guys do your thing over there, and we'd wear a bulwark.
That is so fun. Because you would think that like this would be the use case for it. I mean, it's
I don't know. My memory is foggy as well because I haven't run team chambers. Does Tecton attack based on defense?
I have no idea. I wouldn't be the one to.
I don't even know why we bought the bulwark. I know it was the tank Tecton, but I don't remember if it was because we thought.
Was it just so like everyone else was on a different side and you're just sitting there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always thought Tecton based it on going for a lot of people, but maybe it's based on defense. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I'm unsure on that.
But we bought a bulwark. I remember to split that. And then I remember Tebow was like 1.8 to like 2.3 bill. Thanks had bought one. And he basically just would get like double everybody else's points every single raid. And we were raiding with Void.
God.
Everybody was wearing Void.
Oh, and that was pre-nerfed Void too, huh?
Yep. I don't think Elite Void was a thing. Or was it a thing? I don't know.
Well, but, even if it wasn't all Void just 20%? Like it said it was 10, but it was actually 20?
Yeah, it was a flat increase.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be disgusting.
And it was before scaling changes too, I think, in chambers where like the Tebow still scales inside of the chambers, but I think it scaled at a higher multiple back then. Maybe.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that would have
been dirty. we can't forget the fact that they still to this day deny it, but the pet rate was definitely 1 in 650 items, not 1 in 65 items.
Yeah, I don't think they deny that one. I think they made that clear, or maybe it's just I'm talking to players, but maybe like toward release they probably denied it because they tend to do that. That was the same thing with Mod.
I haven't heard a confirmation from them to this day.
Okay. Well, Fasani's release, Mod Arcane literally denied it. He put a kappa, but he denied that nobody was getting drops because literally there was like a community pool of like, okay, we've done like 6,000 kills and there's not been one drop. And it turned out for like the first like 6 hours of Fasani's release, no drops were coming to the game because they forgot to code it in.
Yeah. And then, oh man, the release of Chambers was so, like, Ulm was such a new thing. Mod Kieran designed Ulm. And it was such a new, like, dude, that changed everything for so many people. I think so many people had switched from doing, like, skilling or not doing that much PVM, at least, to, like, all they do is PVM. Because that release was, like, Ulm, learning solo Ulm and doing, like, Ulm in general, like, learning the mechanics of, like, dodging or, like, skipping. Things like that were so fun to learn. And I remember Calvino, who was like the second or third Infernal Cape, he had done a video that everybody was like going crazy over back then, which was a 1 HP Darok solo.
Oh my God.
When he do like 1 to 0 with like 8 tick DH hits.
And everyone thought he was a fucking god for it.
Yep. That was the bar back then. And now it's like, oh, I could go do that. I don't think it'd be efficient or good DPS these days, but you know, I think most PVMers that at least have an Infernal Cape can do that.
Yeah, that was nuts.
But back then it was like that was the bar.
Yep. And that when did Wooks get his Tebow? Because he soloed it.
Yeah, I think it was the end of January or maybe it was early February. It was within like the first month or two.
That's so crazy to solo a Tebow.
He had started soloing, I think, the first week. We had done team chambers for the first like few days, and then I think he went off to go solo. Typical Wooks fashion.
Yeah.
Which is great. You know, I love that about him. But yeah, I think that's what happened. It was in the first month or two.
Dude, it's so crazy to like just knowing like the giga brains of these players that discover all the mechanics of how to solo Ulm and stuff efficiently. Like how do you even start understanding Ulm's cycle? Like I swear to God, like when I was I was literally watching the video guides on like how to do this. And even with the guides, it's completely going over my head for hundreds of raids. I'm just completely clueless on like how people discovered these kind of things. These players are just so smart.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to remember is a lot of release stuff. It's like people don't have the guides. People don't have the 4-hour sync guide on how to solo chambers. You know, everybody's going in and figuring out the mechanics.
Yeah.
And Wooks is like the upper echelon of that, where he figures stuff out very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, when Tob released, he was soloing Tob. I mean, he was working on soloing Tob, and I'm like, dude, this is impossible. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Wooks and I had the second duo Tob.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't
you
soloing
guys,
on
you were
release.
the first 5-man team as well. You were in that first 5-man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Me, Lake, Bodie, Wooks, and I feel so bad. I forget. Oh fuck. Was it Sync? Was it Dalek Cookie? Was it? I can't remember.
Who was that actually?
Oh no, I feel so bad. Oh, okay. I searched for Tob Zulu only, and I found Wooks' tweet right there. That was July 4th, 2018. But I'm trying to find. I think. Oh man, I feel so bad not remembering who it was. Was it Classics? It might have been Classics.
Yeah, who? I feel like I should even know this person. I'm even spacing it.
It was either Classics, Sync, or Dalek Cookie, I think.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was Cloud. It was Reed.
Oh yeah. Wait, it was Reed?
Or was it Cloud? I think it was
Must
Cloud.
Have been Cloud.
It was Cloud.
Yeah.
It was Cloud. It was
Okay.
The British one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to differentiate that. People who know will know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a very fun time, man. That was June 8th. So soloing and all that wasn't possible in the first couple weeks. Tob didn't scale.
Yeah. It was all a 5-man scale. And
then they changed that until or they changed that a few weeks later where it scaled at least down to 3.
Yeah, that felt weird. It felt like it almost should have stayed at a 5-man, because if you're gonna scale it down to 3, why not just scale it down to 1? But like,
yeah, I think HP scaled to 3, and then number of NPCs scaled down to 1. Am I right about that?
Oh, okay.
I might be. I think I'm right about that, but I don't.
Okay, interesting.
It might still only be 3.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm so forgetful with things like this.
I mean, this is years ago. Yeah, like 6 years ago. Yeah, Woog's doing Sodetseg. I just remember like watching that. I'm like, you are tick eating balls. Like that was just the craziest thing, you know?
Yeah, and he like so many people forget that like he created a lot of those methods.
Yeah, he was pioneering.
Like when you think about methods today, where you're like, oh, tick eating the ball. Who did that first? I think it was Wooks.
Yeah, that is so nuts. Yeah, those are some good times.
Although I don't want to give him like all the credit. There's other people like Exact and people that are also really good at creating new methods, like Cold One, Adicon.
Yeah. But I mean, we got to give credit to Wooks for literally being the first to solo it. So he got like tips and stuff, but like obviously other people work on improving the methods, because now solo top, I mean, it's completely solved. It's still very difficult, but like you know exactly where to stand to dodge everything and make things consistent.
I still haven't gone and done one. Years and years and years ago, I was going to do it on my 1000th Tob, and then I just kind of stopped doing Tob. And I still don't even have 1,000. But I was gonna do that. I just never did.
Oh yeah, you were like rank 1 Tob for a long time, or I know you were the first to 100 Tob.
I was first to 100. I lost rank 1 shortly after that.
Okay.
I think it's somewhere in the 100 to 200 range. I'd lost that. I think I kept it maybe to like 150-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't soloed Tob either. I have very little interest in doing that. And nowadays, I mean, it's actually way more doable. Obviously, we have better gear and Blood Fury, which is just insane. But
yeah,
it's still a very cool feat to do, you know. But what are your thoughts on TOA having come out? Have you messed around with that a lot?
Man, I got mixed opinions, you know. Like I think as far as it being the most unique and kind of choose your own direction and how you want to do it kind of raid, best they've done. They've done such a phenomenal job of giving you all those options, but they didn't do enough like hot fixing and adjustments at the start. And because they didn't do that, I think it's like kind of put a sour taste in a lot of PVMers' mouth to this day. things like the Elidinus ward and the Fang not switching their rarity.
Yeah.
Because I think the Fang and Lightbearer should be on that lower tier. Or sorry, the Ward and Lightbearer should be on that lower tier, and the Fang should be in the rarer.
I mean, to be
tier.
honest,
I think a lot of people will agree with that.
I mean, to be honest, the light bearer is such an OP item. I mean, that thing, like, we just kind of like downplay it as like, oh, well, it's already cheap, so in our heads it's cheap. Like, that thing literally could have been like one of the mega rares. Like, it could have been on par with it, and it would have been incredibly valuable, and people would be obsessed with it. But they're just everywhere in the game now.
Yeah. But I don't have like a ton of KC. I have, I think, 46 or so experts and like 30 something normals. What do I have? Something like that. I did a bunch on release, but the week of release, I have 60 normals and 44 expert. The week of release, I got my wisdom teeth out. So I was able to do TOA normally for the first day, and then the next couple of days I wasn't able to. I was still like kind of trying, but I wasn't streaming, and I just did a little bit of it, and I was also pretty heavy in the group iron at that point. So I did it for a few days. I liked it, and recently I've started doing it more again. I like TOA, but I do think that they should have done more of the balancing earlier. That's kind of my only like negative I think to say about it, is they didn't balance enough early, and because of that, they're not going to now.
Yeah, it's strange because TOA actually has, like, in my head, very appropriate rates for things where it, like, oh, it feels good. Like, it feels like you can get purples quite commonly, which actually feels more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that, in turn, makes items cheaper. And now, because of the accessibility of the raid, I mean, there's just so many Raid 3 items that are just pouring into the game nonstop. So,
yeah.
I think... I mean, it's just hard because if you want the items to be more, valuable, you just have to make the purples just way less common, which in turn makes it not as fun, and it just makes it just kind of miserable in a sense.
It surprises me that Shadow is still 1.3 bill.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
that
considering
is
how common that stuff is. But I think it's because a lot of people, their first couple hundred TOAs are fun, and then they stop doing it.
Well, also Shadow is like so coveted because it makes the raid, like that raid itself makes it so much easier. Like, as soon as you get a Shadow, it's just like you're just breezing through stuff, especially Akka. Holy shit. That completely transforms Akka. So, yeah, that's a game changer of an item. And who knows? Probably in a year, it'll be around, like, I would guess 700 mil. Just because
I don't think so. Like, at this point, seeing how it's gone, I think it'll stay above 1 for a very long time.
I highly doubt that. I think it's going to be like a Scythe where it looks like it's going to be
9 months. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, you got a point, but the thing is like there are so many coming into the game. It just feels inevitable that the price is going to just like it's gonna go down. I don't think it's gonna hold. That's my opinion, though. Who knows? Maybe it does stay above.
Yeah.
But
No, we both have an opinion, and
yeah,
who knows? We'll see.
So they've been rumoring a unlimited Scythe where you can just pay a one-time fee of blood runes. Have you heard of that?
I haven't. Selfishly, I'd love that, but
yeah, I feel like everybody selfishly would love that.
Yeah. I don't think I see that happening, though.
Yeah.
We already have the Lucky Penny, and I think we've already added so many ways to get blood runes. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. There's a lot of people that have, and I don't even know where the rumor really started, but yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I just feel like it's so dumb to do that, because then it just makes it so every other weapon is just completely useless to ever use. Like, the Scythe always had that trade-off of like spending extra money to get extra DPS or not.
If I was one of those jaded players, I'd say, oh, just wait for when one of the mods runs out of blood runes on the Iron Man, and that'll come in.
That's what they did with the... have you seen the new item, Scaly Blue D-Hide?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally just, you just use a knife on it and it becomes 50 noted blue dragon scales. Like, what? Like, what JMod needed blue dragon scales randomly?
Definitely not one that was on the team for Nightmare Zone. I'll tell you that. Because Nightmare Zone, it's an inside, no, not really an inside joke. But if you played back then, Nightmare Zone, you can't buy anything except for the teleport scrolls and imbues on an Iron Man.
Yeah. And originally it wasn't even the teleport scrolls.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't remember if it was the case on the release of because I think Nightmare Zone came out before Iron Man.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm not positive, but I think so, yeah. Nightmare Zone was a shit show. I literally, to this day, I still have the worst taste. Like, it gives me such a bad taste in my mouth thinking about it.
I loved it, dude. I got 200 mil defense basically from it.
Did you? Okay, so selfishly you liked it, but deep down, do you wish it had just never come out?
Yeah, or came out a different way.
Dude, that thing made it so depressing to like come. I came back to RuneScape. It's old school. It had been 8 years since I played RuneScape, but I played as a kid, and I was just looking up accounts that were level 120, and I'm like, oh my god, you're a fucking god at this game. And then you look them up, and they have like 36 woodcutting, and 19 Slayer, and like all this like just total level 1100, but they're like max combat. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then yeah, that was horrible.
It's hard to say though, because like, yes, that sucks, but also I wonder if the game would have progressed as much without Nightmare Zone, without how many ever people got their combat stats from that.
No, I don't agree with that. I think the game would have been much healthier without it. Like, yeah, the people that don't even like RuneScape, I mean, just artificially inflating the numbers temporarily because like, oh, like people like to get stats for free. Let's do that. That'll increase our numbers. It's like, that is like the worst way to go about keeping or like extending players. Like, I understand a large portion of the community wants to just boss. Like, they just want to have a RuneScape account to go boss on, but like, bruh, that is completely against the spirit of RuneScape. Like, you're supposed to grind for that shit, and it feels much better. As soon as you have an account that can do all that, you're gonna burn out afterward and be like,
I guess I agree somewhat, but what I'm saying is a lot of people wouldn't have got to the point where they can try those bosses and actually stick around after Nightmare Zoning.
That's true. And
they never would have got the combat level to do that.
Yeah. And it was a different game back then. I have to remember, like, it wasn't like the game is now, where there's so many ways to, get your levels up. I mean, Slayer used to cost money if you wanted to do it.
It was only Slayer. That was the only way to get your combat.
Yeah. Or
really.
Yeah, or do like bandits or some weird shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Slayer did cost money if you did it efficiently, but doing it efficiently was the only way to do it back then, was to Turiel skip until you get Dagonoths and then Cannon Dagonoths. That was it.
That's such a crazy time to think. And and like Necreals and Gargoyles and Wyverns all got buff drop tables years down the line. It's just like, it used to just be so shit GP. I mean, and like an Abyssal Demon Task was incredible because you'd get whipped. Nowadays, like, you get an Abyssal Demon Task, like, this is horrible. Like, I'm not getting like any loot, Yeah. It's crazy how like that all changed, and now Slayer is so profitable. And then you have like Konar Slayer as well, that's just shitting out GP. Do you remember Konar release when they literally were dropping 2,500 noted brews?
I think wasn't there a point where they were not noted?
I don't know. I thought they were noted.
I can't remember. I think there was some drop that was like 100 or 200 or something that wasn't noted.
Oh my god.
There was also a time, I mean, that, like, we're talking about the release of Old School, there wasn't Slayer points. That wasn't a thing.
Oh yeah, you had to do your task, right?
There wasn't no, you could go to Turiel. Because there wasn't points, you would just go to Turiel if you didn't. You would kill birds and chickens and monkeys and like, that's what you would do.
Oh,
that was the thing. Yeah,
that's old school, man. Like, no skips. Jesus Christ.
No Slayer helm either. There was Black Mask, and then if you get Abbey Specters, Nose Peg. You get Banshees, Earmuffs. Yep.
That is so crazy. And then you had Neve's Cave.
Yeah, Neve's Cave came out after those points, and Neve's Cave had everything.
Yeah, because that's all. I mean, they just had such a small team that like everything was just bare bones.
In my opinion, that was one of the best times of old school, is when Neve's Cave was still a thing.
Yeah,
that was like where every boss or every task was.
Yeah, you just go in that cave and you see everybody. Just everybody's crowded in, just, you know, enjoying their time.
And Neve's Cave during Deadman mode too. Oh, it was so exciting.
Oh yeah, I bet. Did you do Deadman modes?
Yeah, I played the first like 8 or 9 seasons.
Sheesh. So did you ever get close to winning?
The closest I got was in the top like 25 or 30-ish. It was I think the second or third. It was whichever one was the first one at Barbarian Outpost. Me and Shawnee had a $10, or maybe it was £10 bet on who would survive longer. And we killed each other at the same time, but he got the final blow on me and then died a few seconds later. So I sent him $10 on PayPal.
Oh my god. Yeah, Deadman mode was crazy. I loved watching it. I logged in when they came out with World 45 Deadman mode, like the original. And I played it for like 5 minutes and I died, and I was like, I fucking hate I can't do this. Like this is miserable.
Deadman made me very rich.
Oh yeah? Did you swap a lot?
Yeah. I don't know how much I made the original World 45, but it was a lot. But in the first season, like where it was seasonal, I think I made 2 or 3 bill in the first weekend.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a grind. It was constant, like,
yeah, but still on a weekend.
Trade people every minute, have to remember every single person's name. I think I scammed myself out of like 20 mil Deadman on one of the trades, actually.
So what was the best season?
First or the second, probably.
Why is
the most recent couple seasons were good, but they don't do it as much, so it's just not that good. But the first and second season, man, everybody's figuring out like what you can and can't do, because like people had played 45, but they hadn't played a seasonal. And so I think it was at the point the first season, I think you could still use food on the bank to unnote it. And so it was just like bank fights. Everything was unlocked. Like you could do anything in the game. Like in the 5th or 6th season is when they started reducing things that you could do, where they was like, oh, in the 2nd week, we'll unlock Barrows. In the 3rd week, we'll unlock God Wars. The first couple seasons, you could go anywhere, do anything, day one, if you wanted to. And it was great. I think adding the restrictions made it not fun.
Yeah, I feel like inevitably it just wouldn't have been as fun either, because it's like you solve things. I mean, when it's the 1st and 2nd season, you're just like, holy shit, like what are the best strategies? And then with all the time passing, you start coming up with better strategies later on, and it's like,
yeah,
they have to switch things up.
Planning those like day one routes was always really fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Of like how to get into the Warriors Guild in like the first few people, so you don't get targeted.
Yeah, for real. Oh my gosh. And like there was just certain I mean, I never played it, but I just remember like there's quests that would be completely locked if you didn't do it early, or like early enough, basically, because you're just camped.
The Shiloh Village Blazer strat.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was crazy.
Yeah, if you wanted piety, you'd have to get it super quick.
And if you got like assigned Cal fights, you just were fucked, because it's only multi, I think.
Yeah, Cal fights were one of the scary tasks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Good times.
So would you like to see a return of Deadman mode that's like, is there anything they can do to make it like optimal? Is there any suggestions you have?
Those relics and perks were really fun, but they need to not restrict things. Like, all the restrictions are so annoying. It just makes it not fun to play on such a big restriction where like you're with mystics for the first like week.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's just more because if I play something that like I'm wanting to play a lot, I get ahead pretty quickly. So maybe it's selfish, because
but
I want to like grind.
That's the nature of dead man mode. Like, you're not wrong in thinking that. Like, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of the better updates they did though for Deadman was like the key where you only lose 10 like your highest 10 stacks and you keep like 10% of it. Because it used to be like 28 your 28 most valuable items full stack if it's a stack. And then they changed that. So 10. I think that was a good update because it makes people like not quit entirely. And then also like the rebuild stuff where like you have XP multipliers when you die.
Yeah.
Where you can get your stats back quicker.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I think one of the most recent they had it where like you had different servers basically, like depending on your combat level.
Yeah. That I actually was kind of a fan of that, but I think that the brackets they did were kind of weird. Like it would just seem like it was just because it was nice numbers. It was like I can't remember what the lower levels were, but it was like 70 to 100, 100 to 126 or something. And it just seemed like they should have done more realistic PK build world levels, like something to 94, because 94 is like max Zerker, or maybe 93, and then like 94 to like 112 or 110. Because then it's more realistic for like if you're trying to get a certain build.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I always love the early Deadman modes too, just watching it because like shit would always go wrong on the tournaments, like on the Jagex live stream.
Yep.
So everyone
that's the most fun part.
I know. And you see them just like absolutely struggling over there and just trying to get everything squared away. And it's like, oh my God, everyone here is just having the best time ever. And they used to pop off. I mean, like 20,000, 30,000 viewers just in the stream. Like, it's crazy.
I think there was a season where like 50 of like the final 250 people got DQ'd because they were boxing or botting or something.
Holy crap.
And it was really funny. Because I think like the first few people that had won, they had to like change like, oh, this other person actually won because this person was botting or something like that. I don't remember the details, but yeah, it was that was one of the funny ones. And then Wooks with the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. Just madman strats. Yeah.
Didn't Ash, if I remember this correctly, didn't Ash pay him $10,000 out of his own pocket?
Yes.
He was like, you actually did win, but like,
yes.
I disagree with the company I work for.
That is literally the craziest thing to do. I mean, it just gives you so much more respect for Mod Ash, but like, holy shit, like, I don't know. That's just nuts to me, you know, I don't know, just go out of your way and be like, here, I'll pay you the 10 grand. Like, just,
yeah,
I don't know. That's mind boggling to me. Like, that's so cool. And nobody will ever forget that either. You know, like, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
But with Deadman, it's like, I don't know. Like, I love Deadman, but again, over the different seasons, like they've changed so much that I don't like it as much as I did the first couple seasons. I still like all the seasonal modes though. Like I really liked all the leagues. And then we only had one, but King of the Skill was cool to watch. I didn't participate. But they should do more of those seasonal modes.
You're right. I wish they'd bring back a King of the Skill.
It was unique.
Yeah, it was
some kind of unique thing like that.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be something crazy. I mean, they, like literally, just some tournament that gets players involved, I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
Any sort of thing.
Those speedrun worlds, such a flop. They really needed to do that differently.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would do differently, but they needed to do something differently because those worlds are dead.
Have you messed around with Bounty Hunter, the just update that came out this week?
No, I saw it got updated, but I haven't touched it. I heard login servers were having troubles because of it. And unfortunately, they took my world. 319.
Oh, really? Was that your like home world?
Oh. They've done it to me in the past too. 345 used to be my world, and then it became 346 for a bit, but then I had bad ping, so I was like, okay, 319. And now 319 is the Bounty Hunter world, so ping has or tick time or whatever is just not great.
Yeah. Rip. So what's your world now? Do you mind sharing?
I'm on 441 right now, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's my world. I think 429 is the 429 maybe will be my world now.
Yeah, so I haven't done any of the BH, so I guess I'll have to talk to a PKer on it and see what the update's like. It seems like they're having a good time though. I popped into Pure Spam stream earlier, and I was just asking him how it is, and he enjoys it. But that's like his style of PKing.
Yeah, so. One of those things where it's like finally,
for real. I know.
After how many years of them adding it, removing it, adding it, removing it, changing it,
deleting
saying they're gonna add it back. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to see people are having a good time. It looks like it's really like crowded too, and people are just having a good time. So,
is there collection log stuff with it?
That's a good question. I don't think so actually, because it doesn't look like the number got updated. I think it was 1443 before last week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I feel like I would have enjoyed doing some of it, and I might still do some of it, but
it's so weird how like they exclude things from collection log. That are in the game, items that you can collect, but because it's like I understand the reasons why they're not going to do that, because most PKers are not collection loggers, and most collection loggers don't want to have anything to do with PKing, so it just makes sense to kind of just remove it. But it's like nobody's ever going to complain. I don't know. In my head,
look at LMS though.
I know, but I know, and people are butthurt about that too. And a lot of people that have completed the log literally just got their like 24 alts on. Like I know Basilogist and I think Casey as well just have like these crazy logs where it's like they have like 50 total kills and 1,000 wins. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Casey told me a little bit about it. I think it was if you didn't have your own alts, I think it was like 3.5 mil a game or something. So it was like 3.5 bill.
Okay.
Maybe that's right. I don't know if that's right.
The thing is, like, that actually sounds pretty appropriate. Like, that doesn't sound bad for 1,000 wins. Like,
I'm probably wrong about that, though.
I don't know. You might be right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 3 mil per win plus 500k. So to pay the highest stakes games. So 3.5 mil loss per win. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he said a few months ago.
Okay. So I want to take a step back and go back to just like early on streaming, I guess. Because your stream, I swear, of like, I know Jace's, Riggs, and your stream all kind of popped off, but it felt like you really popped off back then. And with new updates, I mean, you were my go-to stream when there was like a new update that came out. I mean, I remember I was camping your stream, Dragon Slayer 2, that came out. I know that was a little bit later on, but how was that? How was like the early days of streaming, and when did you decide to go like full time with it?
So the early days were fun of like growing the stream. I remember like I had mentioned earlier in the cast, like things like affiliate and bits and all that stuff weren't a thing. So I was just doing it for fun. Really. But I was working a job I didn't like 60 hours a week sometimes. And then I was just like streaming whenever I could. And I was just like honestly, it was just like a good escape from all that. Cause I was pretty alone at the time. And it just felt like it was fun. I enjoyed it and I just wanted to keep doing more of it. And then, I guess at the start, I'd already been somewhat established in like the overall old school community, just because I was top page and like I was active on Twitter with the John Wilson's Twitter, and I was somewhat active on Reddit in the years before that. So I was already kind of like established, and I was going for 200 mils, like prayer and construction at the time, and going for pets, and it just felt like very just enjoyable. There was nothing, I don't think there was ever a time where I was just like mad or upset on stream back then. And I'm trying to think about like, man, the growing process, it was different. I didn't even like, I just was doing it to enjoy it. And I don't even think I didn't have a donation button or anything until like 3,000 or so followers. Because I was just like doing it just to do it.
Yeah.
But I also remember back then I had got denied partner, I think 3 times. I think it was my 4th time I applied, I got accepted. And I'd seen like Jace had got partnered, and I think Rig had been partnered. And I was just sitting there like, oh man. Well,
rip.
I'm just gonna keep going, just gonna keep chucking away at it. I also didn't use a cam back then. So I was more, I guess, mysterious to some people.
Yeah, no, you definitely were. Just like that mysterious vibe. And that's the same with Jace still. I mean, I've never.
Yeah, to this day.
Yeah, to this day, still doesn't have a cam. So, yeah, there's a lot.
I have a picture on my phone of me and Jace at RuneFest. But I will never leak it, though.
Yeah, never leak. Does he say that? Like, if he takes pictures, like, don't leak this.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I was like, Jace, can we get a picture? I won't. Well, also we were all drinking, so maybe just in the moment he was like, yeah, sure, but I don't know.
That's funny. That's so. I mean, I actually kind of admire it in a way, just to like be super, you know, not secretive, but you know what I mean, just like
mysterious.
Mysterious, yeah. So you were mysterious for a long time. What made you decide to finally do the face reveal?
I don't know if it's what made me decide to do the face reveal, or if it's just like the other end of it where I just fucking hated myself. Can I curse on here?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I fucking hated myself. I did not like myself. I was depressed. I was pretty alone. I'd gained a bunch of weight from depression. Didn't like myself and how I looked, so I was like not confident, I guess. And then at some point, I think what started it might have been the TOB testing, because I know I started cam before that, like maybe a month or 2 before that, but it was after I'd been invited to help with TOB testing. And I think at that point I was like, okay, well, everybody's gonna see, you know, what I look like anyways, so let's turn the cam on.
Oh yeah, because at the TOB testing, were they gonna like film it or something, or were they gonna like make it public?
I can't remember, but I mean, I knew that people were active on Twitter and people were gonna post pictures of like, oh, I met Zulu today. Here's a picture. You know, I think they did post a picture of all of us. So I remember the meme of like everybody saying that Lake looked like a felon or something, because he stood there like all hench and like I think it was something like that. I don't remember, but it was. I remember us taking a picture of like all of us outside, and I don't know if it was Jagex that posted it or if it was one of us that posted it. But yeah, I started camming about a month before that, I think.
Was that scary?
A little bit at first.
So you were dealing with like depression and just not wanting to show your face and stuff, but what was it? Literally just the fact that you were going to have to show your face that just eventually made you push to show it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I just wanted to be more personable.
Do you regret it?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's
no, not at all.
Okay. So let I guess, if you don't mind, I mean, do you want to talk about like how that was? And because it seems like you've gone through like just a bunch of different things in your life since, you know, starting streaming, and is like, I don't know. I guess something I want to ask, and I feel like the reason I want to talk about this is because I feel like a lot of people can relate to it, especially content creators as well, that like kind of isolate themselves. I mean, I know I can include myself in this, as like you start streaming and then all of a sudden you realize like you've just completely neglected your social life and it's just all RuneScape and stream. And
yeah, I did that for a long time.
Yeah,
I did not have a good balance in my life at all.
Was it before streaming even? Because I mean, obviously you're a huge gamer.
Yeah. So I mean, I've told it before, but I guess for your audience who may not have heard it somewhere else, I I went to school in Boston. I went to Berklee College of Music for like the first year and a half or so of school. Around the time of I had to stop going in like late 2013. So it kind of worked out with what's it called? With RuneScape because of that. But my parents had got divorced, and neither of them wanted to pay the tuition for that, and they were in Florida, and I was in Boston at the time. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna quit school and work in Florida because like I'm not gonna take out, you know, 50, 60,000 a year in student debt.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I had quit this going to school and went back to Florida. My parents were divorced, or going through a divorce, and my mom was like in a bad place, I guess. So her and I had lived together for a little bit, and then I lived on my own. And I was just working RuneScape. That was all it was. Like that was my life. I didn't. A lot of my friends that I knew growing up in Florida were either still in school or they were in school in a different state, or they were working. So I didn't really have much of a social life at that point. Like I had friends, but I would never see them.
But before that, were you like pretty social? Was
Yeah,
that kind of the start of like things going downhill?
yeah. I think my parents' divorce is the start of it. Yeah. Not. I don't think the depression was because they got divorced. I don't. I was an adult. I don't care. That's their. You know, whatever. But it was more just like the opportunity. Yeah, I'm not gonna like. I don't want to sound entitled and say like it was like taken from me, but because they got divorced, they didn't want to. Neither of them wanted to go through with my tuition, and they were like, okay, well, either take out student loans or, you know, figure it out, because they were going through their own shit, and I was an adult at that point. And so because of that, I felt like I had kind of. No, it sounds entitled to say, but like it had been taken from me. Where like I had this opportunity of going to this great school that has all these connections, and I'm getting a double major. All this stuff had just been gone in a couple of months.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was kind of, I guess, jaded from that and depressed because I had to go back home to Florida and work, and that kind of sucked. But I had been playing a ton of RuneScape. You know, I was on TeamSpeak and Ventrilo and all that, you know, 10 hours a day. I was working a desk job and most of the time from home. So I was able to play a lot of RuneScape on the side. And then from that led to me wanting to stream eventually. And that's when I upgraded to that desktop, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Interesting. So during like that, it was just isolating, just playing and working, and then eventually streaming.
Yeah.
Did streaming give you like that socialness that you?
I don't know about streaming, but like RuneScape in general did. You know, I was in the Slay Stars TeamSpeak, or just another random TeamSpeak that we had friends with. You know, like I said, 10+ hours a day. Like we were always in voice.
Mm-hmm.
So my RuneScape online homies kept me not feeling alone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I had worked a few various jobs before I worked the job that eventually I had quit to go full time. I'd worked at like a studio in downtown Orlando. I'd worked a couple of other shitty jobs that I just don't necessarily care about, and then I'd end up working for a transportation company where I was doing like dispatching and scheduling and emails and phone calls and all that boring stuff. And so, yeah, I definitely found, I guess, an escape or something that was more fun with RuneScape and with streaming.
Mm.
And what caused me to go full time was, at the time, I'd been working a lot. I'd already had some money saved, but the first month I got partnered, I had made more streaming than I was at my job, and I was like, okay, this is crazy. But it's just hype because, you know, I just got partnered. And then it kept happening because it was October of 2016. Then November and December, same thing. I made more streaming than I did at my job, so I was basically making double, or more than double what I would make just working my job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, if this continues for another 6 months, I'll go full time. And it did. June of 2017, which is also the time that Inferno came out, is when I went full time.
Dang. And how long did full time last? And how long did that like? Because I don't know the full time frame. Like, obviously, I'm not one of you. I was never one of your like most active viewers, but I'd pop in. I would pop into a bunch of people's streams. But so I don't know all the time frame. But there was a point where you moved in with Lake and Kemp Q.
Yeah.
And that was still during full time streaming and YouTube and everything. So at what point? I'm just trying to get the time frame of when you stopped and took a break from everything. I guess you can.
Okay, yeah. So let's get into that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is going to be the podcast where I go on different topics. I say I'm not sure about this timeline, and then also where I go into my just a full. You guys get to know me. So 2019, June 2019, Lake, me, and KempQ move into a place together here in Texas. And within a couple of months, I want to say, man, it was the day that I got Armapet. It's weird that I associate real life things with RuneScape, but it was the day I got the Armapet. Was the day I also had my first date with my then to be girlfriend. So if you go to my pet album and you'll see whatever day I got Armapet, that was also the day we had our first date. And so I started seeing her. And I got a girlfriend, first time I'd had a girlfriend in, I don't even know, 4 years, 3 years. Because I'd been single for a long time, just kind of doing my own thing. And so I started spending more time with her, and I was still full time. I was streaming every day. Our schedule was amazing, man. I miss the days of living with those guys because it was me and Lake. We get up at 8:30 a.m. We'd go to the gym. We get home around 10:30, shower, eat some lunch, watch a little bit of YouTube just to catch up on stuff or maybe edit, and then go live from like 2 p.m. until like the nighttime. And it was such a great like schedule. And then on the weekends, there'd be days where we'd either take off or I'd end a little early and we'd go out either downtown or we'd go to someone's house. Like Alfie and Gray and a few other people lived here at the time. And it was great. It was a wonderful time, and I miss it. And unfortunately, I'm not going to get into the details too much, but some of you may know, like Lake and I had a falling out. I have no hate in my heart for him or anything. I think we both didn't approach things the right way. I regret my part in all that. And I don't hold any resentment, but I know that Lake also, we both didn't do things the right way. And because of that, we had a big falling out. But man, those first few months living here were so good. We were on top of our shit. And then in middle of 2020, so about a year after that, peak of the pandemic, it's me, like KempQ had just moved out. He'd moved to the city, into the city. We were living like kind of north. And at that point, Lake and his girlfriend, and then me and my girlfriend had been living there. We're at the peak of the pandemic. We had this big falling out. Just it happened because I think it mostly happened because we were all cooped up for so long. But anyways, me and my girlfriend end up moving to another creator's house named Z Royal Viking. He's like a variety games YouTuber and streamer. And we had become friends with him earlier that year at a convention. But we moved in with him. And then at the end of 2020, my girlfriend and I, at that time, we had broken up. And so I had it was a bad breakup too. So I'm not going to get into details, but it was a bad breakup. And so start of 2021, I had been kind of going through my own like mental health journey where I was like, man, COVID, breakup, all this stuff. And I got on a hike with my friend, and he had said, like, I had told him, I was like, man, I think I might have like ADHD, and like I know I'm depressed and all this stuff. And I'm like, I probably should go talk to a psychiatrist and get diagnosed and see what's up. And he said that just the way he phrased it, he was like, "What? Well, why haven't you?" Like he just said that. So I was like, "Okay, good point." So at that point, it started my mental health journey, I guess, in January of 2021. And then from January to I want to say August, I had like streamed maybe 3 times. Um,
Damn.
I had like taken a huge break from that because I wasn't at my computer. I literally I would only log in and I would only go on my PC to record Gillenor games.
So
Um,
was you getting away from the computer like just because like your psychiatrist said it would be good, or it was just your own thing of just like
no, my own
okay.
my own thing.
Had you
Um,
warned anybody about it, or was it just like I'm just off? I need to do this.
well, it was when I started my SSRI, which I take Lexapro. I knew that there's like a 2 to 4 week period of like the adjustment of like it being in your system. I forget what that's called, but yeah. So I had started that, and I think I had told my community at that point. I was like, okay, I might not be live for like a couple weeks because of that, but I'll be back. And then I just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and eventually just like didn't stream for. I streamed maybe like a few times in the middle of all of that, like once or twice a month, um, and eventually came back in August or so for Dead Man, and then New World, and then Group Iron Man. But yeah, I had taken a pretty big break there. But also in the middle of all that, so I said August, right? June of 2021, I got into a car accident. So it was like I'd already taken all these months off, and then I get into a car accident, and I had a neck injury. I had some minor injuries as well, but I had a neck injury that like it hurt to be at the PC.
Oh God.
Yeah. We're still like it's still going through litigation and stuff right now, but the claim and the whatever lawsuit or whatever, still going through that. I got sideswiped. So I was in the left lane, they were in the right lane, like kind of a little bit in front of me, but like where like half their cars in front of me and half their cars to the right of me. And they just went over. Like they just went into me. And my car like went into the side like guard rail or fence or whatever it's called. It's not a rail, but it's like the cement thing, I'm talking about. The cement dividers. And I was like riding the side of the wall for like a few 100 feet, and my car got like fucked up, and I was like death gripping the steering wheel, like trying to not, crash into anything. But yeah, I had a bad car accident that had happened. Not the worst. I'm very fortunate. I mean, it could have been way worse. Absolutely, could have been way worse. But it prevented me from being active with streaming as much as I was before all that mental health break and stuff that went on. So it was just like really unfortunate timing.
What did you learn for like your break and getting help and stuff like that? Like what helped you like the most? Just like changing your mindset and stuff.
Hard to say, because like at that point I'd also been very social. Like I was going to people's houses all the time. I was going to parties. And I was also going on hikes, going paddleboarding a lot, getting a lot of sun. Good times. But I think the thing I learned the most is that I love being a content creator. I feel very blessed. I'm very fortunate with the fact that I had money saved up to be able to take that break, because a lot of people probably could benefit from a break like that, but a lot of people can't really afford to do that, And I couldn't afford to do that now. I'm not, without getting too personal, I'm not like in the best financial situation, so I couldn't do a break like that now, but I was able to. And I don't know what I learned other than the fact that I loved and missed being a content creator.
Damn. Yeah, that's so interesting, like going through that. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, I'm glad for you. Like I'm grateful like that you were able to do that and stuff. And
yeah, I mean, I think most people had maybe not similar experiences, but most people, you know, COVID changed their path a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just happened to be that I piled on top of that, a really bad breakup, a bad falling out with a really close friend, and then a few months later, when I was starting to feel all right, a car accident.
Yeah. So,
But it's not the worst in the world. I'm not looking for any pity or anything. It's you know, other people have had way worse situations, I'm sure.
yeah. So now that you're like back and everything, now are you like, what do you consider yourself? Because I know you're still like active and everything, but do you consider yourself like full-time streaming?
It's hard to say. Streaming and YouTube have been my main source of income since the middle of 2017, or even before that when I wasn't full time really. But these past like few months, probably so around September, I want to say, maybe it was August. I had also stopped being super active. So like August or September of 2021, when I'd come back, I had already been in physical therapy for a couple months, and my neck and back had started to feel okay. But then I really pushed myself, and I was just streaming a shit ton because of Group Iron Man and just pumping out videos and streams. And then, like, because of that, it had been to a point where I had been in pain again. And so I started to like take more breaks. And then from that, like this last August or September until, you know, even now, I've been very inconsistent where like there'll be times where I'll stream, you know, 4 or 5 days in a week. And then there's times like right now where I haven't streamed in almost 3 weeks.
Yeah. Interesting. But you're that still is like the plan. It's like you're like a content creator, you're just trying to like figure out your whole like
I want to continue to be a full-time content creator, but I know that with all these breaks, like it's not one financially a good choice to take all these breaks. And two, you know, I feel like I'm letting the people down. I'm letting the people who have enjoyed my content for years down by not being as active.
Yeah. Now
I'm letting myself down.
Yeah. Now I'm there with you. Like the streams have been, I'm trying to like almost, I don't know, reinvigorate like an energy for streaming and stuff. Cause I've been trying to figure out my whole like thing as well. And a lot of it, I think just stems from, I don't know, like figuring out what I want to do with my life. Cause like you start getting older, like you're what, 27, 28?
28. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm turning 28 in a couple weeks. And like, it's just like, I don't know. It just feels like you start questioning, like, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Because once, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm with you where it's like, I'm so grateful to be a content creator. And like, I don't know. It's just, I think a lot of it is like overthinking as well. Like I have a super bad habit of overthinking things and just questioning. So I'm like there with you. So I can empathize 100%, but that's good to hear about your,
yeah, that's like I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to content creation.
Yeah,
like there's definitely people that don't like me in the community or that like troll me or that like hate me or whatever, which I think is insane to hate someone on like that just happens to be online. But regardless of that,
spend your energy hating somebody online.
Not like none of them affect me in any way, and I don't like. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm the reason that I'm not active is because I just get in my head in a way where I'm like, oh man, it's 9 o'clock. Should I even stream today? You know, one of those things where it's oh man, I don't know if today like I'm even gonna have that great of content. What's the point?
Yeah. A lot of content creators go through that, including myself.
Well, I guess the one more little bit of that. Like,
go for
financially, like it's tough. Like I know, like I've been working a little bit on the side now. Like I still consider myself a full-time streamer and content creator, but now I've started working as well on the side, and that's I don't want to. I want to stream and I want to make videos, but I know that because I've been so inactive, it's going to take a few months to build that back up.
Yeah.
So now I'm just in like a spot where I know, oh man, I gotta really kick it into high gear.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna go to the Twitter topics because we haven't even touched any of those yet. So, the Ultimate asks, well, he says, we all know Sater's thoughts on Iron Man collection log grandfathering issue. You know that, like, of just Iron Man can't use log slots on their collection log.
Yeah, you have an ODM award, but you can't use it on a thing and show that you got an ODM award. So you gotta go get the ODM award again, even though you're an Iron Man. So obviously you got it yourself.
So this guy's asking, is there a solution that could be done for main collection log, if anything? I don't think there literally is anything that could happen exactly with collection log that would.
I think it comes down to the data that's saved on your character profile, because there's some data that's saved in the servers when it comes to your account, and there's some data that's saved on your specific character profile on those servers. And I think that the game doesn't save what you got last kill, right? It doesn't know, oh, last kill you got a Tumikin Shadow. It just knows that you got one at some point. Like for your login session, it'll know that client-sided, but like they won't know, oh, 2 years ago you got this item. Like the game doesn't know that.
But it would know if you actually have gotten it before?
Well, going forward because of the collection log, it would.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I see.
Where it does a check yes, check no.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was talking about this with Jace. I mean, like, yeah, I have my own opinion on like Iron Men should be able to use items on their collection log, but it's like at this point, like the collection log came out almost. I mean, it's been 4.5 years at this point. It's getting to the point where it's completely useless because so much of that content was. It's just like.
I understand why Iron Men want that, but I also understand on my own end. There's so many things I'd got in the past that I've had to either get again or will have to get again because I'm a main.
Yeah,
and
I'm almost certain they'll never actually. Like I'm getting to the point where Jagex will never actually make an update that allows Iron Man to use their. Like I was pretty sure on that, but I was always holding on to hope. Like, oh, maybe like Jagex years and years from now, as soon as people stop caring, they'll just do it. But like there's literally been no word, so I'm already just like, yeah, whatever. All those grinds I'll have to just redo.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah,
and it's more punishing to irons, obviously, because some methods and some bosses, if you're doing them, it's a fraction of the kills an hour you can get on a main.
Yeah.
So getting it again sucks, but I think unless there's a way for that to work for mains as well, it's not realistic. And knowing Jagex, like if they add that for irons, there's going to be some bug where it works for mains, and then there's going to be some bug where there's, a twisted bow in a bush somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Some weird glitch. All right. Slingblade asks, what's been your favorite part of Gillinor games aside from winning it? So yeah, talk about it. And I also just want to know like how dude, Soup is a legend for like making that all happen. Like that's just
it is so fun to be a part of. I hope I get invited to the next season, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's so fun being a part of Gillinor games. Favorite thing about it has got to be just like being in voice with everybody, like during the recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the hangout before and the hangout after, where we're all just like waiting for Soup to tell us what to do. I love that. I love that so much because we talk about anything and everything. Oh hey, how's this been going for you? Whether it's like in game or real life.
That's just like
it's just nice to like connect with other creators.
Yeah, for sure. And I literally have to give so much credit to Soup because like the organization of all that. Jesus Christ, like I could. You got to be a special type of person to be able to just handle organizing and editing all that and just coming up with the like. Oh my god, that whole thing is so much work. I can imagine.
It is insane how much work it is. Like we record months before because it takes him some episodes take him 80 to 100 hours to edit.
My god.
Yeah.
It's so cool though, like seeing stuff like that like really start popping off. And I was talking to Solo Mission in person actually. Like I went to like a little hangout in Tennessee and
I saw pictures from that.
Tons. That was amazing just because that was my first ever meetup. I've never been to a Rune Fest or a TwitchCon, so that was like the first time I got to meet up with people. But I was talking with Solo Mission, and he's like, literally, like that's at least when it comes to like sponsorships and stuff like that with YouTube, like they base it off of what you previously did. So like a lot of that time and hours he was putting into the first couple seasons, like it doesn't pay well. It's literally him like building up that thing where he's putting in so much more time and effort than he's actually getting out of it. But now that there's been multiple seasons and stuff, like this is when like, you know, I'm just happy in a way, like Soup's now going to start getting like actually rewarded for it, like handsomely for all the effort that he puts into this kind of stuff, because like now the sponsorships are really going to be like, okay, like what have you previously done? And that's what they're going to be basing their like the revenue.
A little back end of how that works. Typically for, you know, your everyday sponsor, they base it off of like your last few videos or your last like month's performance of videos. But for a series like Gillenor Games, they would definitely be like he you know, him or the talent manager agency can reach out and say, hey, you know, this series is coming back, and look at how this series performed. You know, every episode averaged 200 or 300K or whatever views, and then that can be used as the marker instead of his most recent few videos. And it's so good.
Speaking of YouTube series, actually, what do you watch on YouTube, like OSRS wise?
A lot, but lately, I've been watching Mudkip, Devious, Guides for Us All. I try to watch. You post a lot. I try to watch some of your videos, but I can't watch all of them just because
mine's all just talking content anyway. It's a lot of long-form stuff.
we need our rambles here and there.
Yeah.
Bodhi, all the collection log stuff. I mean, Dabe, Tedious. Who else? Why is my mind is going blank when you ask this? I feel bad because I'm missing a lot of people I watch.
I just sprung it up on you. You're good.
Yeah. A lot of like the extreme one chunk people.
Yeah, Verf might actually make it out of this first chunk soon. We'll see.
Limpwort. There's a creator in my community named LSD Broski, and he has a decent series as well. Man, there's so many RS YouTubers, and I feel bad.
No, you've listed that. That's plenty. That's all I was. I was just wondering who you kind of watch. Do you watch Rendy at all?
I watch pretty much everyone. Rendy, I haven't watched in a while, actually.
I love his like One Defense Saga series. I know
I've not watched recently.
Yeah, like it's good. But there's just so much out there. You can't watch it all. There's so much nowadays.
Yeah.
You mentioned Collection Log. We haven't even really talked about it, but you've gone back on your main to Collection Log. How's that been?
Yeah, it's been all right. The entire time we've been recording, I've been at Barrows, haven't got a single item. But it's been all right. My third or fourth video, I said if I'd hit a certain like goal, I would, or no, it was my fifth one. I'd go for all of the combat achievements like right away. And I did hit that like goal, and so I've been doing combat achievements when I'm on, except for right now because we're recording, so I'm doing Barrows. I'm at 436 out of 485.
You're really close.
You know?
What are the tough ones you got left? Like all of them?
500 TOA.
Okay. Have you done all the Inferno ones yet?
No, I haven't done Inferno ones. I saved a lot of Inferno I have 10 Inferno tasks left. I've saved those because I like Inferno. I think the hardest ones I have left as far as like to complete is all the Tob ones. I have like, I think more than half of my remaining ones are Tob. 50 hard mode KC, which isn't hard. It's just like getting a team, you know? Yeah. All the speed times for Tob.
God, yeah.
Perfect Tob.
Good luck. Have fun with that,
those are probably the ones that are gonna suck because it's just getting a team.
It's literally that. It's getting. I mean, oh my gosh, that was such a headache when I got it. Like it's just getting the teams, then failing over and over, and just perfect Tob. Somehow we won and done that. I don't even know how that happened, but like the speed runs seem to take forever.
Yeah, I have all of my remaining ones start with a T. I have 3 Tiz Talkjad, 10 Tiz Kalzuk, 2 Tazarket Rek, 5, I guess total Tombstone Mascot. 1 is normal and 4 are expert, and then 18 normal Tob and 11 hard mode Tob. So like
Damn,
most of it
literally
is
all
Tob.
Tobs, yeah. Like literally all
Yeah,
Ts, I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Sheesh.
So I've been doing some of that. Collection log is going all right. I'm not playing as much as I'd like to, so I'm not progressing as quick as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But it's going all right. Yeah, I got plans.
Do you enjoy collection logging?
Yeah. I wish it had come out years before.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
wouldn't,
no, 100%.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do.
I feel like collection log, like it's at least for me, like there are just things like I was pretty into collection logging for a little bit, and then I realized like how much there is on there that's just so tedious. I mean, like Mage Training Arena, like the mini game section, I feel like is the really tedious stuff.
How are you gonna complain about Mage Training Arena? Like, yeah, it's tedious, but it's like what, 14, 20 hours, something like that.
I don't know, but it's like that collection logging was fun for me because of the idea of like going around and experience all of the fun content and getting the logs, and then you just get to these spots where you're like, this is, oh my god, like this is, it's like it's just about the number at that point instead of like the fun of getting, I don't know, exploring new content. But yeah, I've been focused on clues lately, so you know, I'm on like the long game, I guess, like that sleeper game where you just get a bunch of third age and then you can start going with other things.
Yeah, I mean, technically you are collection logging then.
Yeah. Arya asks, are you still working out?
Yep, every day. Well, okay, weight training about 4 times a week. But daily since Fitman mode, which was like an event.
Oh yeah.
Glitch coaching held.
Didn't you win that?
Different people. Yeah, I did. But yeah, so that kind of kicked my motivation again to get back in the gym, because like I was saying before, when I first moved to Texas, like Lake and I were going to the gym 6 days a week, waking up at like 8:30 a.m. We'd be in there. We were grinding, man. I made some very fast gains in the gym back then, and then I like at some point took a hiatus and then gained some weight back, and then wasn't really that active. And then at the start of this year, when Fitman mode started, I was doing a minimum of 6,000 steps a day, and then working out 3 to 4 times a week of like weight training. And I've kept that up. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Working. Okay. That's so before you moved in with Lake, were you ever working out, or was that like your first experience with it?
Yeah, I was not super actively, but I lived about a mile and a half or 2 miles from the gym I was going to in Florida, and I would bike there maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, and then I would do some kind of like full body workout back then.
Yeah, it's such a game changer, like working out and being that's the big thing. It's like just being consistent with it, at least. Oh yeah, it doesn't need to be every day, but as long as you're not taking weeks off, like that, oh my gosh, it's a game changer, especially when you're like a content creator or work from home and just
it's slow and steady, but I'm down about 15 pounds since the start of the year.
So, oh hell yeah, that's great.
And I've definitely added muscle mass. That I regained muscle mass, I guess. So it's probably more than that lost in fat.
Yeah, I'm on that weight gain train right now. Like I'm trying to gain weight right now because I lost a bunch of weight, and then because I stopped when I started content creation, like I completely stopped working out for like 3 years straight, and I would work out pretty consistently in college. I looked pretty good. I mean, decent, I guess, in college, but. That's just because you're so much more active and you're walking everywhere and it's easy to work out. There's just girls everywhere, and then you isolate yourself and it's just like, okay, I have zero motivation to do this. But yeah, then I don't know. I feel like now it's like, it's so weird how like that whole like fitness journey goes. Cause like initially it was just all about weight loss. And then as soon as like you get to a point where you're like, there's no more weight to lose hardly. It's just like, then you just want to get bigger. But it's like obviously
Yeah.
like healthy big. Like you need to gain fat, but like you start, I don't know. At least for me, like right now, I'm like, I really just want to get like big. Like I've never experienced like being like having like actual size on me, which I don't know.
Yeah, well, when I first moved here, I was around I want to say like 235 pounds, and I was like overweight and not looking the best, feeling the best. And then I went down to I think about 185 at my lowest there. And then after like taking my big break from everything in 2021, I somehow went back up to like 220 or 225. And now I'm down around like 205 or 210 ish. I'm trying to get down to like I want to get down to like 170 or 175. So I got a ways to go.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a journey.
Yeah, it is, and that slingshot is like real of like losing weight, and then just like it's so easy to regain it. Almost, it's like your body just wants to like go back to that state.
Yeah, depression's kind of a bitch.
It's not even just depression though; it's literally just like anybody that loses weight. Like if you're not really aware and you're not like willing to continue that, like you just slingshot back up. It feels like that happens so often to almost anybody that's trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a complete lifestyle change. You need to like adapt and you need to like stick with it. It's not just like do it for a little bit and then just go back to normal.
I agree,
that's awesome though. That's cool to hear you're still on it.
Yep.
Do you have any like do you ever like have like any goals written down of like this is where I want to be or whatever, or is it just kind of like live a healthier lifestyle and see what comes?
I guess I don't set goals when it comes to like PRs on weight lifting. I mean I have those goals with like weight loss. Like I have every month I like write down like for the first few days I'll track my weight, and then I'll kind of like say like, okay, I want to get down to this weight at the end of the month, and then I'll see like, how I did. But no, not really. It's more just like getting to that weight, like ideal weight I want to get to, and then looking better. Feeling better.
That's cool. Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about is actually sailing. Yeah, what are your thoughts on a brand new skill coming out?
Man. The original sailing pull or pitch in like 2014 or 15, whenever it was, almost everything that was pulled to come with sailing came into the game another way, except for gem dragons, like emerald dragons or ruby dragons, and like one or two other things. But almost everything else that came from that, or that was going to be coming from that, came in a different way, like the blowpipe, venom just existing in general, Fossil Island.
Wait, that was going to come out with sailing?
Yep.
Damn.
A lot of those things, almost everything. If you look at the original sailing dev blog, it all came into the game in a different like way. And looking at that, and then looking at the current sailing like proposal that they had, it kind of seems like the same. It's like history repeating itself, where all that stuff could come in a different way. Like they don't have as solid of an idea for it to stand out and stand alone, where that content could just come from something else. I liked the other pitches actually.
Which one in particular?
Shamanism, I think, more than husbandry or breeding or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think I like shamanism more. But as far as just a new skill in general coming, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I was originally on Team Taming.
Taming, that's fun.
And then I was actually never a huge fan of shamanism. I think the biggest thing is just the convolutedness of like just getting a bunch of untradeable gear. Like I know it would be fun to just pimp out your gear, but it's just gonna like, especially with the new prayer book coming out, like it's just gonna be like so crazy. Like it's gonna be a completely just weird game where like not weird, but it's gonna feel like we've gotten to a point where as a player base we're like super efficient and we're efficient minded, And like if you're not gonna have like all these imbues on your gear and shit, you're just gonna look like you're trolling basically. And I just don't want to go down that road where it's like there is strict metas that are just so crazy and everything's untradeable and imbued and you have to use this certain weird prayers. It's just, oh my God, like it's going to get rid of the nostalgia of just fucking pray melee and wear your Torva. Like this, like that's it. Like just, you're fine. Not just all these crazy things. I don't know. I get worried about that. That's me though.
Yeah, I think just like the idea of shamanism was nice. I don't necessarily know about the rewards or the what comes out of the skill. But yeah, sailing on its own as like the idea of the skill, I really actually do like that. I just am not a fan at all of like the way that they're pitching what it brings to the game, as far as like items and areas. Like I like the idea of being able to sail a route that's faster than going somewhere else.
That'll never be the case. It's literally like just teleporting so much faster. Yeah,
teleporting is crazy. Teleporting has been one of the biggest updates to the game in general. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're sailing. I think we're gonna have to see what they propose with the actual core gameplay. But the thing I kind of get excited for is just like water bosses and stuff. When you're on your boat with the boys, like that's another thing they showed off. At least you can be on a boat with like other people. And your characters are actually on there.
I think they box themselves in too much with the term sailing, though. I think it would have been better if it was more of like a, I don't want to say like exploration or like I don't know what the right word is.
No, that would be like it. Yeah,
a more broad term for like adventuring.
You're right.
That way it can add not just water-based things, but it can add different dungeons and different like land areas.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Like,
a sky area. Like we have the moon is canon in RuneScape. You know, you go to the lunar isle, or not lunar isle, but you go to the lunar plane. That's technically the moon. Like we have other realms and stuff, but we're not. We're just thinking too small with water only, in my opinion.
No, and you're right. Like sailing really is like doesn't need to be a skill. Somebody else was talking about that as well. Like it just can be a way to transport to dungeons and islands and other things and have your water.
I think the broader skill idea, I think sailing could be a part of a skill, and I think it should be part of like an exploration skill.
Do you think
kind of how like you think about like magic, right? How there's magic, which is the skill, but then there's the lunar spellbook, the ancient spellbook, the archaeus, the standard. There's different spells that are utility based or combat based. With like exploration, it could be like sailing could be a branch of that. So I'm more of a fan of that idea, personally.
Do you think sailing will pass? Do you think like when it comes to the final poll, do you think it'll actually enter the game?
I have no idea. I think it depends entirely on what they flesh out and show us.
Because I don't know, there still is a pretty sizable portion of the community that just doesn't want a new skill, but they've already pretty much locked in a new skill. So if sailing fails, they're just going to go back to the drawing board and just come out with another skill idea. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling that sailing will come out. Jagex will push for it like as hard as possible to get it out. And it's going to completely change.
I think if it fails, I think if it does fail, they might go back to the drawing board and change it to exploration.
Nah,
for me, like the idea of like a skill that's more broad than just sailing is the perfect skill. Like that to me, that's what that is.
I would say if sailing fails, they're probably going to start polling shamanism. Like that's like they would just like literally scrap it and just be like, all right, what about shamanism? And then, but I don't know. I have a feeling sailing will come out. We'll see there's like some more blog posts coming out later in June that are going to be talking about the actual core gameplay and stuff, and we'll see. But
yeah,
it's gonna be crazy, especially everyone losing their max cape. Like that's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. Like everyone's gonna be on a boat like day one. Just yeah, that's what excites me.
That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah,
like the race that people have for like both 99 end for 200 mil.
And there won't be any metas either. Like if they do it well enough where they have good ideas but they don't share too much, we're gonna log in day one and have no idea like what the most efficient ways of getting your sailing up are. But
yeah,
I'm excited. I know
it'll be figured out quickly though.
Who do you think will get rank 1? Like as in like the 200 mil dollars? Like who do you think will secure the next rank 1
for 200 mil?
Yeah, not for 200 mil, because there could be some random guy that gets 200 mil that isn't already, you
mean rank 1 overall, like 4.8?
Yeah,
like
4.6.
Like 4.8.
Or 4.8, yeah.
Oh, man. That is a hard question to answer. Because there's so many people that could be on that list.
And there's going to be even more, too, because sailing's probably not even going to come out for at least another 1.5 or 2 years.
Yeah. Man, it depends so much on people's real life, though. Like, it's hard to say.
Yeah. If you had to guess, if you just for a prediction, so if we ever went back to this cast after sailing comes out and you could be right, who would you say?
Okay, wait 1 second. How many pages of... Okay, there's 2 pages of 4.6. Can I have 2 guesses? Because there's nearly 2 pages of 4.6.
You can, but then it won't be as cool. It won't be as insane. But yeah, you can still guess. But choose your actual number 1 and then say like who would be a runner-up.
Okay. Man, but I don't know these people's real life.
I know, but that's the fun of it. Like you can't know, but if you are right, that would be pretty cool.
Okay. Just give me a second to look through the names real quick. I'm looking at the names right now, and I'm just kind of figuring out who I think would be here. Oh man. Okay. For my number 1,
I think Vior. I'm sorry if that was gonna be yours, but yeah. I think.
No, actually.
Okay, what's yours?
For my number 1, Hebox Jong.
Ooh. That is a good fucking guess, actually. And that is
because he's killing it in the content game right now.
Yeah, and so he's gonna
so he'll have the time and he'll have the support. He'll be able to stream it. He'll be able to
get buyable. If there is anything buyable, he could just get funded. Yeah, holy shit.
That's my...
What about your second? Did you have a runner-up?
I do, but I don't know the real-life situation, and I also don't know how the skill is going to be trained. If the skill can be trained the same way on an Iron Man, Iron Higer.
Yeah, that won't happen. That would be insane.
But if it can't be trained if it can't be trained the same way though, then Vior's a good guess, but I'm actually looking at these names here.
The only reason I say Vior,
Rodney Farva.
Oh shit, you're right. That guy's an animal.
Because he did a 6,000 hour year, but also again depends on if he's even playing the game at the time.
It really depends on how like. Yeah, no, you're right, and it also depends on like how well you can pioneer, because it's not just log in and play the efficient meta from minute 1 until the end. It's like no, you're gonna have to go out there and like test shit or like be in the know of what the actual most efficient thing is, and then people are gonna come out with methods that are slightly faster, and they're not even gonna share it. So you got to be like in these communities and like.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's going to be a crazy ride, and I'm excited to see. The only reason I say Vior is because like that dude like it feels like he lives and breathes this game. Like he cares so much, and so that's why I think like he'll push. Like he will stay up 21 hours a day every single day and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows though?
Vior is definitely one of the people that could be in the in that running.
Yeah, we'll see. What?
I'll put Hebox Young as my number 1.
Yeah, that's a great guess actually. Plus, if he would heave. So the problem with Hebox is I don't think he's as degenerate. So like he couldn't pull like crazy hour days, and it's really just more of a super quick race.
He's gone pretty hard in previous like EHP
like fantasies.
Yeah.
Really? Is he like always up there with like short-term play? Because like those fantasies lasted like a couple weeks or like a month, right?
I could be wrong though. Maybe he was just getting inflated hours with Sepulcher because he was really good at that.
I
But
mean,
I think he can. I think he's. I mean, he's very efficient.
yeah,
So
that's for sure.
got
That
that
would
going for him.
yes. And I think if he had like, because he has a sizable channel too, so if he actually got rank 1, like he would have so much of a push to get that. Like, imagine, being rank 1 and like a big content creator like that. That alone would be insane content. But you can't make content and go for rank 1 at the same time. Like there would be way too much competition. You'd have
He can if he's streaming.
That's true. He would stream it. Yeah, but you're right. He wouldn't make videos on it.
Yeah, and he can just do the old like ramble where he's just rambling while training and he's like, oh, this is where I'm at right now.
That's true. That is true.
High scores.
That is
true. He doesn't have to edit it.
Oh, I'm excited for that. That'll be fun. That'll be like there's a few silver linings to it all. Like I'm scared of like the consequences of a new skill coming into the game, what it changes, but there's a lot of exciting stuff about it. Okay, Apescape asks, who is the cat? I'm assuming your profile picture cat.
Yeah, the profile picture cat. So I have a cat named Nibbles, and she's the sweetest thing. But the profile picture cat actually comes from Sens. Do you know who Sens is? He's a 4.6 build.
Yeah, I know just the John Will Sens, whatever.
Yeah. Me, him, and Dead Wilson all had a shared Twitter.
That's so interesting. What can I just ask that before we go on to the cat thing? Like, what was that about? Why do you have a shared Twitter?
We knew that like there was like a Twitter community, but like we were also just kind of lurkers at the time. So we were all like good friends. So we just made a Twitter account just to mostly to follow the memes, not to even be a part of anything. And so. At that point, though, we started posting the occasional meme and stuff, and people like never knew which one of us was the one posting. So
who was it usually?
A lot of the time, it was me or Dead Wilson or Scott. Like me and him were way more active. Like you'd see the rare Sense tweet. But yeah, so we just had a shared Twitter, and then that was Sense's avatar picture on Skype, and I think on TeamSpeak too at one point. But then, like, it's the most HD cat in the world. Like, if you look at the picture, the original picture, it is so HD.
Really?
And I guess I just made it an emote at one point because I like asked Sense about it. I was like, hey, can I make this an emote? Like Zulu cat, because like cats are cool. And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, because he didn't stream or anything. How do you get a Shazian supply? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Anyways. I looked up the original. I backtraced the image and found the original person who took the photo. And it was on a Wikimedia article, like Wikipedia's like photo articles or whatever. And I emailed them and I asked them, can I use this image for all commercial purposes? And they said yes. I think they're I don't want to. I think they're from Guatemala. They're from some South American country. Can't remember where, but I had emailed them and asked them, and they gave me permission to use that cat for all commercial purposes.
Damn.
Same thing with my pig emote, the pig pog. It's the pig's name is actually Cordelia Fitzgerald, and I emailed the person who sells pigs about it.
Yeah, you're going out of your way to actually get like your permission.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I had to make sure it was legit that I could that didn't want that to bite me in the ass years down the road.
Yeah, I started using Winnie the Pooh emotes. And just like, I think the beginning of 2022 or the beginning of 2021, it just became like anybody can use it because it had been like over 80 years. So like the copyright's gone or something like that. That's why like that sinister Winnie the Pooh, like evil murder Winnie the Pooh movie came out.
Oh yeah, that movie looks interesting. I want to watch it.
I don't. I know it's gonna be shit.
You don't?
I
think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, you would have to get really, really drunk. I feel like, and then it would be fine.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be good. I haven't seen it yet though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where the cat comes from. It just comes from a Sense's original Skype and TeamSpeak picture. It was originally his. We made it the John Wilson's Twitter avatar actually for a while until we made it the crying tears Dobbs character photo. I don't know how much of the lore you know about that.
No.
Okay, so there's a guy named Dobbs.
Okay.
And he used to be pretty active in the community. I think he was in, man, what was he? I think he was in Texas, I want to say. But he hated that Nightmare Zone was a thing, kind of like a lot of people do.
Yep.
And so because we were all Guthin 6 hours, we made it a big meme where like our Twitter banner was like the three of us in Nightmare Zone standing next to each other wearing Guthins. And then we made his character like we were toxic, I'm not gonna lie. We took his like RuneScape forum character avatar and then just like drew tears on it in paint. And then made that our avatar at one point. Because like he hated Nightmare Zone. He was like the most like outspoken about hating Nightmare Zone. And we were all like,
I respect him for that. I respect him for that. Yeah.
We were kind of toxic, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
the lore of the cat though. That's the lore of the cat.
That's cool. That's cool. We finally discovered it. What's the lore behind Zulu? Because your name previously was Marasaur, right?
Yes. 2014, Jagex released a bunch of inactive names. And by every couple weeks, it was like a new batch. So like the first couple week was like A through like D or something. And then like E through like whatever. And every week, like in Slay Stars, we had our group, like we had like 30 of us that were like, hey, let's write down a list of names and like just whoever gets it, we'll bond up and, you know, trade the names to each other. But like, you want the name Conan? Okay, we'll make sure that we get Conan. Oh, you want the name Renz? We'll make sure we get Renz. You want the name Muck? We'll get Muck. You want the original name Merrick? We'll make sure we get that. Like all these different names, right? Poop. We had some crazy names. Fight. We had some insane names. But then I got the name 2277 the first week. I think was the first week numbers or was it the last week? I don't know. I think it was the last week. It was numbers and like Z. I got 2277, which is the total level, max total level.
Yeah.
And then I also got Zulu. Like those two names were on like our short list of names we wanted to get. And I just fell in love with it instantly. Like, I was just like, damn, that's like the name looks sick.
Yeah.
And in the back, like the lore of it is that one, it's like Z when you're talking about like pilot, radio, military like code, like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, you know, all the way down to Zulu. And I kind of just liked the name. Like it just looked good.
So that was that. It was just like, okay, this is my brand now, basically.
For a few months, I was swapping between. Oh, maybe it's 2014. Did I say 2014?
Yeah, you did.
I don't know. But anyways, okay. But yeah, anyways, every month I would switch back and forth between 2277 and Zulu. And then eventually, I put Marasaur onto my Iron Man when Iron Man first came out. And that account is still the same account, but I de-ironed it. It's an alt now, one of my alts. But yeah, I turned in a tier 2 Shazy and said, no, my elite, why did it fail?
Did you not box it up? You had to box it first.
No, it's in a box.
Okay.
And I said, turn in. Maybe I gotta talk to them again. I don't know. Anyways,
oh, God. That's horrible.
Anyways,
it didn't pass. All right.
At one point, I had gotten tired of changing back and forth every month, and I was like, I just want to be Zulu now. Like, I want that name to just be what I'm known as. So I put 2277 onto our shared Slay Stars Nightmare Zone account. It was basically an account that only had like 5 quests done before you could choose what quest you wanted to do. So I just put the name on there to hold it, and then I think we just lost the name, and then some guy in Hexus got the name 2277 later on.
Yeah, no, because I swear I've seen that name around, like people.
Yeah, that used to be. I used to have that name, but then we lost it. But I just had Zulu, and I just kept Zulu. And that was before I had streamed, because I didn't start streaming until 2016. So I became known as Zulu at like the end of 2014, and became more established just in the community in general as Zulu instead of being Marasaur. Marasaur is a more interesting one because it comes from what's it called? Call of Duty days. where there's the marathon perk from MW2, and then dinosaurs are cool. And I also used to run.
That's the combination of it. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I also used to run track in high school.
Okay.
So a marathon, just in general, I thought, cool.
Marisaur. Interesting.
Yep.
Damn. And when did you get that name?
The name Marisaur?
Yeah.
2009.
Sheesh. So that was like your original gamer tag, or was there one prior to that?
That was my gamer tag on Xbox.
Okay.
On RuneScape, the name wasn't taken. I think whenever you could change names, I just took
Yeah. But like I'm just talking, I guess, like
online
names in general. Was that like your first ever Marisaur? I want to say Marisaur, but
I had some pretty cringy ones, but I don't know how bad that is for OPSEC purposes.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
to just start
refrain from sharing those. Yeah. But no, that was probably the first one. Well, I went by like Mara or Marisaur. Like I was in a bunch of competitive sniping clans and stuff, and that was kind of like the first name I guess established where I was part of like a community instead of just being a gamer with a name that like is in lobbies. Yeah. Like that's when I started to really make like online friends, I think.
Damn.
Do you know who Dreeks is?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I know of him. Yeah.
Dreeks, he's also a co-owner of PropSwap, but he was like the first, or no, one of the first level 3s to get a 200 mil all in RS3. I think Colton was the first. But anyways, him and I met on Call of Duty.
Oh shit!
Back then in 2009, when I first started being Marisaur, and he was Rise Dreeks. He was in the clan Rise.
Oh damn!
Yeah, there's some lore behind that.
Yeah. Damn. Well, that's good to know. I feel like I've gotten to know your just whole story and just everything and like how your names came to be. This was nice.
Yeah. That's the story of the name Zulu and the name Marisaur.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. I guess like I'm looking at the Twitter topic. Well, here there's one last one I'm looking at, and it's: would you ever go cliff diving again? Have you gone cliff diving before?
Yeah, I saw that was from Wizard. Yeah. Him, me, and Boss. If you know who Boss is, BAS.
Yeah.
BAS Boss, he lived here in Austin at one point because he was working at a tech company. He moved back to the Netherlands recently, but he, like Aaron or Wizard was visiting, and we decided to go cliff jumping, and it was fun, man. I jumped off like a a little bit. My stomach like hit the. I don't think it hurt. No, not really. For like a minute.
Was it tall? Like was the cliff like high up?
Yeah, the one I jumped off of was like 25 or 30 feet.
Okay.
And I jumped off that like I think 2 or 3 times, and then Boss, he jumped off that a bunch, but then he also jumped off of a 50-ish, maybe 55 or 60 foot one.
Jesus Christ.
That was crazy, man. And he climbed back up. Yeah, he climbed back up the side of the cliff to get to us.
Holy shit. Insane.
Yeah, he's an adventurer, man.
Is he jacked?
But yeah, cliff jumping was fun. He's like your typical Netherlander. He's tall and skinny.
Okay. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never gone. Well, I've gone cliff jumping, but it was like, I think it was like 15 feet. Like it was literally nothing. But.
Dude, okay. Did you know what a gainer is?
Yeah. Those things are.
Yeah. There was like this like 12-year-old or something doing gainers off of it. Like he was hanging out with like all these, I think he was somebody's brother or something, but he was hanging out with all these like dudes that were about my age, that were like doing like double gainers, and like they were doing like shots where they were jumping off and then like throwing a football and catching it, like all this crazy stuff. And then this kid is just sitting there doing gainers off of it, and like it made me feel like a pussy.
Dude, doing gainers off a cliff sounds so dangerous. Like for me, like obviously if you're experienced, you're fine, but that literally sounds like you would fucking break your neck on like the opposite flip. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, yeah, fuck that. I wouldn't. That's crazy. Then.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's
cool. Sure, doing that.
That's cool. Okay, Zulu, I want to ask you for 3 shout outs from the community that and why. It can be anybody from maybe your stream, content creators, JMods, etc.
Oh man. You know, I've watched your cast before, and I know that you always ask that, like literally every time, and yet I didn't think to prepare that. You're putting me on the spot here. Give me a second to think about this.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be the top 3 either, so don't feel bad. Like if
yeah.
Just 3 people you think deserve it.
I mean, okay, so there's so many people in my community that I would shout out, but I don't want to say like a name and then another person think like, oh man, he didn't shout me out, because there's like probably like 5 to 10 people in my community that like are super supportive and all that. So I don't want to like, I just, you know who you are for those people. But as far as like just the community that people would know or maybe wouldn't know, let me think. John MP4.
That dude's a talented motherfucker.
Yeah. He's edited for tons of people, but he edits the RuneScape Chronicles. He's one half of RuneScape Chronicles. And he's a beast at the game. He's got a pretty far along iron right now. And on top of that, he's also like a really cool dude. So he's one of them for sure. Who else do I shout out? Shout out Nixos, Dale. He moved here to Texas about a year and a half ago. Him and I have been friends for a long time online, but he's probably one of the most level-headed people I know in the community. Very down to earth, very cool dude.
Oh yeah, and he was the guy in the photo as well, like that you hung out with.
Yeah, with Whale when we went to get food. Yeah, he's the curly-headed guy. He looks like Jack Harlow. I call him Jack Harlower sometimes. But yeah, okay, that's number 2. Who would be number 3? Man, this is so. Why you got to put me on the spot like this? You know what? Just to make it easy, I'm gonna shout out Alfie. I think a lot of people meme him, but I think so many more people love and support him. But I think he sometimes gets in his head about the haters and the weird people that say things just to get under his skin. But he lived here in Texas for about 6 or 7 months, and he would always be the one organizing, like, hey, come over, like, let's get a bunch of people together here for like a poker night or like just a hangout. And he's always been really easy to talk to. And I know that he just yesterday had a very unfortunate personal family situation. And I know he's going through a lot with that, but shout out to Alfie. We all love you, man.
Yeah, that's a great shout out. Huge shout out to Alfie. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I believe it was his father passed away.
Yeah,
that's super.
And I know that I know he's super close with his family too. Like the reason he left Texas was to move back to, I think it was, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a little later. But he moved back to California to be closer to family and be closer to his sister, and just his family in general. Yeah. So I know that that's a huge loss for him. And
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, and ending on a sad note, but
oh, sorry, but yeah, no, we all love and support you, Alfie.
Yeah, no, for real. That's very rough to go through, and literally all the love and support. I think he understands the community's got his back as well. Like we all love Alfie.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, listening, down in the description, go drop Zulu a follow on his Twitter, his YouTube, his Twitch. Is there any other things you'd like linked?
My Instagram is pretty shit. My Instagram is the lowest social media I think I have.
Do you want that link down there?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right. Yeah, go drop him a follow for me, boys. And Zulu, thank you for your time this evening. This was really nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah. Okay, guys. Next week we will be having 9rain on the cast.
Ooh,
so
another Texas boy.
Yeah, for real. He's from Austin too, I believe, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Have you met up with him?
Yep.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so we're gonna get awesome. Yeah, we're gonna get 9rain on, and then we're gonna have a duo JMod cast the week following. So I'm not going to spoil it quite yet, but yeah, I'm excited for that one. So anyway, guys, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.